How many times in your life have you come across something unfamiliar, a new skill, a bold idea, a life-changing opportunity, and the very first thought that surfaced was, I don't know how to do this. Not with fear in your voice, not with failure in mind, but with a quiet, almost automatic resignation. A phrase so simple, so casual, that we don't even realize what it's costing us. Maybe it happened when someone invited you to try something outside your comfort zone. To speak in public, to lead a project, to launch something of your own. Maybe it showed up when you watched someone else doing something beautiful, painting, writing, building, expressing, and you felt a quiet ache, followed by that inner whisper, I wish I could, but I don't know how. And then, almost without thinking, you stepped back. You told yourself, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not the kind of person who can do this. Maybe it's not meant for me. But underneath those maybes was something even more powerful and more dangerous. The quiet belief that not knowing was the same as not being able, that unless you already had the answers, the talent, the confidence, the clarity, you had no right to begin, and so you didn't. You didn't take the class. You didn't make the call. You didn't write the first line, record the first video, send the application, show up to the audition, take the first messy step. You backed away. Not because it was impossible, but simply because you weren't sure how. And in doing so, you unknowingly made a decision. Not a loud, dramatic one, but a quiet one that happens in the small corners of our lives every single day. You decided it wasn't for you. You didn't fail. You just never gave yourself the chance to try. That simple phrase, I don't know, sounds so harmless, so honest, so reasonable. And in many ways it is. It's true. You don't know. You haven't learned it yet. You haven't been taught. There's no shame in that, but the danger lies not in the phrase itself, but in what it becomes over time, silently, subtly, if we're not paying attention. What begins as a moment of honesty can slowly harden into a lifelong habit of avoidance. A T becomes a reason to hold back, a justification for not trying, a quiet exit before we've even shown up without realizing it. I don't know transforms into a shield protecting us not from failure, but from growth. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. We start confusing not knowing with not capable, but the truth is those two things couldn't be more different. Not knowing how to do something is a temporary condition. A T simply means you haven't had the chance to learn. You haven't practiced. You haven't stepped into the arena yet. A T says nothing about your potential, only about your starting point. But when you say, I can't do this, you've crossed into a different territory. Now, it's no longer about ability. It's about belief, and more than that, it becomes a choice to close the door before you've even knocked, a choice to declare the outcome before you've taken the first step, a choice to assume failure without even allowing room for growth. Because here's the truth. When you believe you can't, you stop trying. And when you stop trying, you stop learning. And when you stop learning, you stop evolving. So much of the progress you're seeking in life, the confidence, the clarity, the creativity, the courage, it's not on the other side of perfection. It's on the other side of curiosity. It begins not with mastery, but with the willingness to be a beginner. So ask yourself, are you truly incapable? Or are you just unfamiliar? Because if it's unfamiliar, that's good news. A T means there's room to grow. A T means the story hasn't been written yet. A T means you still get to choose how it ends. And no one is born knowing how to do everything. In fact, no one is born knowing how to do anything at all. We all begin life as blank slates, clumsy, curious, and completely inexperienced. We learn to crawl, to walk, to speak, to feed ourselves, to make sense of the world around us, not because we were gifted from birth, but because we were allowed to try, allowed to fail, allowed to not know. From learning how to ride a bike to writing your first story, from cooking a simple meal to building a business or navigating difficult conversations, every single thing you're good at today began with the first awkward, uncomfortable, uncertain attempt. No one skips the messy middle. No one gets to mastery without first looking like they don't belong. And yet, somewhere along the way, we start to believe that we should already know. We start to think that if we're not good right away, we must not be meant for it, that if something doesn't come naturally, it's probably not our thing, that trying and failing is a sign of weakness, of lack, of not being enough. But that's not true. What separates those who grow from those who stay stuck isn't talent.it, isn't intelligence.it, isn't luck, background, or natural ability. It's the willingness to stay in the discomfort of learning.to, accept that progress is rarely graceful.to, be okay with not having it all figured out right away.to, keep showing up even when you feel unsure, behind, or out of place. And the irony is this: when we were children, we weren't afraid of not knowing. We asked questions, silly ones, big ones, repeated ones. We fell off bikes, mispronounced words, colored outside the lines, spilled juice everywhere. But none of that stopped us. We didn't say, maybe riding a bike just isn't for me. We didn't say, other kids are faster, so I won't try. We didn't compare, overthink, or hesitate, just kept going. Because we were wired to grow, but then something shifted. Somewhere along the road to adulthood, we started to link not knowing with not enough. We became self-conscious. We feared judgment. We believed the lie that if we're not instantly good at something, we have no business trying.so. We stopped asking, stopped exploring. We avoided the new and clung to the familiar. We shrunk our world to fit our comfort zone, not because it was fulfilling, but because it felt safe. And most heartbreakingly, we started telling ourselves, this isn't for me, not because it truly wasn't, but because we were afraid of what it might mean to be seen as a beginner. But here's the liberating truth. You don't need to be talented to start something new. You don't need to be confident before you begin. You don't need to have it all figured out before taking the first step. All you need is permission. Permission to be imperfect, permission to not know everything, permission to stumble, to struggle, to learn in public, permission to be a work in progress, because honestly, we all are. The most powerful thing you can do is allow yourself to be someone who is becoming, not someone who has already arrived. Growth isn't about looking impressive. It's about being honest enough to say, I don't know this yet, but I'm willing to learn. So the next time you hear that voice whispering, I don't know how to do this, try responding with, and that's okay. I'm learning, because the people who create, lead, build, and grow, they weren't born knowing either. They just gave themselves a chance to begin. When you stop measuring yourself by how good you are right now, when you stop treating your current ability as the final verdict on your worth, something powerful begins to shift. Instead of asking, am I good enough yet? You begin to ask, what am I still capable of becoming? And that one simple change from judgment to curiosity can transform the way you move through the world. Because when you start seeing yourself not as a finished product, but as a work in progress, as someone learning, failure stops feeling like shame, mistakes stop feeling like proof that you're not good enough, and challenges stop being threats, they become invitations. So you begin to realize that every step, even the messy ones, is part of something meaningful. Fall is not the opposite of growth, it is growth. The awkwardness is not a sign of inadequacy, it's a sign of motion. The confusion you feel when you start something new, that nervous flutter in your chest, that foggy uncertainty in your mind, that ache of unfamiliarity, isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something's beginning. That's what it feels like to stretch, to evolve, to learn. And in those moments, when you find yourself face to face with something you've never done before, something that makes you pause, hesitate, second guess, here's what you can do. Take a breath, take a step back, and ask yourself one simple question. Is this really something I can't do? Or is it just something I've never allowed myself to try? That question matters more than you think. Because for most of us, it's not our ability that holds us back. It's our permission. You don't need to be great right away. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't even need to believe fully in yourself yet. You just need to take that first step with an open heart, a little courage, and the quiet belief that maybe, just maybe, you are capable of becoming more than you are right now. Because not knowing how is not a conclusion. It's not the end of the sentence. It's not a full stop, it's a comma, a pause before the beginning, a breath before the leap, an invitation to let go of the safety of what you know, to step into the unknown, even if your knees are shaking, to try something that might challenge you, stretch you, scare you, and in doing so, to grow into someone you've never met before. And the best part is this: beginnings don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be polished or confident or impressive. They just need to be real. They just need to happen. That's it. Because progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from showing up day after day, being willing to stumble, to get it wrong, to look a little silly, and to keep going anyway. That's how transformation happens. So if you're standing at the edge of something new, something exciting, something unknown, don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to feel worthy. You already are. Begin anyway. And if there's one truth to carry with you as you go, it's this: you're allowed to begin before you feel ready. You are allowed to try before you're confident, to explore before you're certain, to learn before you feel qualified, to show up before you feel like you belong. You don't need the whole map before you take the first step. You don't need all the answers before you start asking questions. You don't need to be excellent before you're allowed to exist inside the process of becoming excellent. Because everything that matters, everything that will shape you, stretch you, change you, begins with not knowing. So give yourself that grace. Let "I don't know how" be the beginning of your sentence, not the end of your story. Let it be the spark of the journey, not the reason you stay still. Let it remind you that being human means learning, fumbling, falling, and rising again. It's okay to be new. It's okay to be awkward. It's okay to not know what you're doing, as long as you keep showing up and doing it anyway. Growth is not a straight line. Confidence doesn't come in one wave and stay forever. Some days you'll feel like you're going backward, but you're not. You're building. You're learning. You're becoming. And if you keep showing up slowly, honestly, imperfectly, one day, you'll look back and realize that you are doing things you once thought were impossible. You are standing in places you never imagined reaching. You are becoming someone you once doubted could exist. Not because you had it all figured out, but because you're brave enough to begin. So let this be your quiet permission slip. You don't have to wait. You don't have to prove anything. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not disqualified by your doubt. You are on the path, right now, and the only thing you have to do is keep walking. One step, one breath, one moment of courage at a time, one quiet "I don't know, but I'm willing to find out." That's how you grow. That's how you become. That's how you meet the version of yourself that's still waiting patiently on the other side of everything you've never tried. So go ahead. Take the step. Let the becoming begin.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.